All right, let's talk about the financial reset that's coming eventually. It happens every 80 years. The Bretton Woods one was 1948. Approximately every 80 years, they reset the currency. They rob you and I of our money and our assets. Now, if you're a prepper homesteader, you're a financial guru, I don't care. The whole deal right here is that we're looking at a situation where we're at stage three. What do I mean by that? Well, this is an excellent video, and I'm going to put John's um, video in the description along with another one. But basically, we're looking at the four-stage debt crisis pattern that repeats at mechanical precision. Foundation built on productive growth. The economy is booming. Businesses are opening. We're producing our own products. And they loan money so people can expand this. Expansion where debt grows faster than the economy, number two. So, the grows faster for the debt than what the economy is producing in value to pay it back. And number three, crisis triggers breaks the cycle. We're at number three. We don't produce enough stuff in this country. We're not expanding, but we are trying to expand, and that's what I believe that Trump is trying to take us back to number one. Love or hate Trump, I don't care. You got TDS, that's your problem. I look at the politics and I look at what's happening in the country and I judge from a financial standpoint and also a prepper and homestead point. Because if you're not prepped properly, and I'm not talking about buying rice and beans and buying ammo and buying silver and gold, I'm talking about your financial situation. If you're paying on a house that isn't paid off, if you're paying on credit cards that you have high balances on, if you're paying on a car loan, well, guess what? You're not really a prepper because a prepper would make sure they pay all those off. If you're in a situation where you need to pay off a house, get rid of that car. Buy an old one with cash. Pay off those credit cards. Maybe file bankruptcy. I don't know. Not a fiduciary, not financial advice. But if you already got your head below water and you're sinking, you're not really a prepper. You're not. This is where a lot of people don't get it. Sure, you know how to raise chickens, and sure, you know how to process chickens. I haven't seen a lot of you guys that actually process your chickens. You send them your pigs and your hogs and your goats and your cattle and your chickens and all your other livestock. A lot of you don't even process your own food because I don't want to unlive a chicken and process it. I'll let somebody else do it. I just want to collect the eggs. Great. You're really going to survive when the world crashes. Number four is to stretch and resets the system violently. And that's where what happens is that you turn around and what happens is that, well, the currency collapses. So you got to reset the currency. But then again, you owe money on this house that you no longer can make enough money to pay for. So you lose the house. You lose the car. Oh, sure, you can default on your credit cards, but then you have to start all over. And basically, you end up with nothing. And then if you own gold and silver, well, what happened in 1929? We had a big old depression. Stock market crashed. It was horrible. And we're looking at a lot larger debt than we are now. Um, we're looking at our current debt's like almost $100 trillion in this country. That's the government and us. We're looking at something that's 300 times worse. And that's what he's saying right there. That's 337 times more debt than at the start of the Great Depression. So you have gold and silver. What happened in 1929? Well, we had that big stock market crash, went into a depression. 1933, FDR did an executive order and said, you got to turn in all your gold and silver for this certain price that's under the market value to the government, or else you go to jail. Think about that one coming too. So even if you have your car and your house paid off, like I do, or cars in my case, or houses, um, the thing is that they can still go after your property because they'll raise your taxes for all the other people that can't hold their house because they lost their house, well, they're going to have less people to tax on revenue. So they're going to come after you for higher taxes on your property. They're going to come after your gold and your silver. They'll tell you to turn it in. Not financial advice, not a fiduciary, and this is not, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm not going to give them my money either way. They can kiss my butt when it comes to getting my silver and gold traded in. Anyways, this is an excellent video. I suggest you watch John's video on Let's Finance. I'm going to put that description in there, and I want you to pay attention to what's going on. Now, let's talk about silver. What happened with silver? It was up to $82 or $84 or something, you know, and then all of a sudden it just dropped back down to the $70 range, lower $70 range, right? Well, John does an excellent job of describing this, what's happened, but basically what happened, it wasn't a squeeze. It was the fact that these banks and JP Morgan, they don't have enough physical silver to cover what they sell as paper, silver, and gold. When I say paper, silver, and gold, they're talking about stocks, futures. Okay? There's not enough physical silver and gold in the world to cover all the paper and silver gold that they sell. That's everywhere. The COMEX decided, well, we'll do this little trick here where we can bail out the banks like JP Morgan because they're highly leveraged with margin. Margin, if you don't know what that is, it means that you borrow money so you can buy stocks. And you have a margin account. And if you blow up a stock and you lose a lot of money on it, well, they're going to hit you with a margin call too, which means you have to go to the bank and pick up some money and send them a check, or else they just shut your whole accounts off. Now, the reason why the banks want to drive it down is because they don't have enough physical silver to actually cover what they're selling on paper. And they're losing money. So they have to knock it down from $82 to $73 so that they can fake you into selling at a lower price, and then they buy it back right back up. It's not a hard concept, and there's only one thing that I commented on here that I wanted you to understand. Now, here's my comment. Excellent video. However, one more thing to consider. Mexico produces 202 million ounces. China, 109 million. Peru, 107 million, which most of their ore is imported to China and then to be smelted. And then the rest of it are processed, and which means Peru doesn't make a hell of a lot of money off that because China makes the money off because it's not really a good product, a high value product, until you actually smelt it and make silver out of the ore. And then the rest of the producers, 52 to 26 million ounces a year, Chile, Bolivia, Poland, Russia, Australia, United States, and Argentina, in that order of the top 10. What happens if Trump decides to blockade the silver imported to China for smelting like he did with oil tankers, neutralizing China like he did with Venezuela? Especially if China attempts to take Taiwan, which will fail ultimately, and I've covered that in the last video, that our EWS systems will just totally destroy their chances to target and destroy our forces. You get a Growler up there, their jets can't even fire a missile that they can't even target. I can see silver going to $300 an ounce. I'm going to put this video in here too because it's an excellent one by John AG. And he explains his name, and I'll let him do that. But this is an excellent video about how at the open of the market on Monday, they're going to try to drive the price down even further because the banks have to make you panic and to make you sell your silver. And if you have physical silver, well, you might want to hold on to, because I think that we're going to probably see within the next month or two, or even sooner, that it may go up to $120 an ounce, and possibly by the end of the year up to $300 an ounce. They're trying to scare you into selling. And if you're in the futures, they're trying to scare you from buying it, the stock, and watch it go up to 8,400. Because if they do that, the banks are in default, and they're going to lose. And if you want to see some of the production, well, Mexico, see right here is 202 million. Okay, and that's ounces. And then China is the second largest, but it only produces about half of that. And Peru produces about the same as China in third place, but they mostly send their ore to China. So if somebody decides he doesn't want that stuff to go to China, you look at all these countries right here. You got Australia that could easily be shut off from China. You got Russia's about the only one's going to send them anything to process, and the rest of these are all in the North American and South American states, except for Poland. So these are your largest 10 producers. What happens if that gets shut off to China? Well, they got all these solar panels that they want to sell you. They produce 80% of the solar panels in the world. And didn't somebody put a tariff on those? Yeah, I think he did. So the solar panels cost more, and they need more silver if they're going to produce 80% of the solar panels in the world. They don't have the numbers for what they produce here. And if this gets cut off in Peru, you're essentially seeing what what Mexico produces with China and Peru combined. What happens if Trump shuts off the Atlantic and says, no, we're not letting you send ore to China to be smelted? Wouldn't that essentially be the same thing as taking those oil tankers? Well, just a little warning on silver if you have physical silver. Um, Somebody asked me today, a friend of mine, and I told her, um, normally I would say not to buy silver right now at these prices. But then again, I expect it to go up, and I expect some squeeze that could artificially happen because the banks are going to fail on their attempt to, and the comics attempt to change things. The comics changed the margin rates, which is money people borrow to buy the stock. They changed the margin rate and they upped it. They just changed the rules and said, yep, now instead of 21,000 per whatever, now you got to pay 25,000. So you need to put some more money in your margin account. Otherwise, we're going to close you out and we're going to take your stock and you're going to lose money off of that. Very simple, folks. The market's going to get really, really complex. And every 80 years, they do a financial reset of the monetary and steal a bunch of money. About 80 years, they do this. About every 80 years, reset that fiat currency, which means back in 1948 was the last time, and 2028 will be the 80 years. But we might see it this year in 2026. So if you're really a prepper, you're really a homesteader, you might want to get your financial stuff in order because that's part of a big collapse. If you have a big collapse, it ain't gonna matter. They'll just take your house if you can't pay for it. They'll take your car if you can't pay for it. They don't care. Banks don't care. They have no heart. And in the stock market, in the business world, everything's a zero-sum game. Somebody loses, somebody wins. And I guarantee you the banks don't want to be the losers. But they'll let you lose, and they'll take everything you have and wipe out your entire wealth that you thought you had because you're still paying on a house with a note on it. And if you had it paid off, well, I don't care if that thing crashes, financial system, I got everything paid off. My car, my house, I don't have any credit card debt. Well, sometimes I do, but it only lasts for 2 or 3 days and I pay it off. You know, a lot of people say, well, oh, Drop doesn't know nothing. Drop is an idiot. Drop is this and Drop is that. Well, guess what? Drop is smarter than most of you. And he actually took 6 IQ tests when he actually had to. And had to do other things. So if you don't want to listen to me, I'm not a fiduciary. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a prepper and a homesteader like the rest of you that likes to stack my silver. And I bought mine mostly at $12 to $14 an ounce. And I bought a lot. And I rolled my 401ks into gold and silver IRAs way back when. Because all that 401k is going to do is lose its butt when the market crashes. And that's when they do the financial reset. And that's when they start doing stupid mandates and pissing off the public, like telling you to turn your silver and gold in for a certain price under the market value so the government can survive. You've been warned.